There we go. Hi, everyone. I want to share with you some amazing, profound teachings today. And first, I want to ask you a question. How different would your life be if you had your true self nurtured instead of denied? I had a client this morning, and she was sitting there overwhelmed with how good it felt to be with her soul in the quietness, in the stillness. And when she had come to me, she was paralyzed by loneliness and fear. We are given programs that deny ourselves our true self, deny ourselves love, and instead we grow up seeing ourselves and the world through a lens of manipulation and fear. Dear ones, we are here to move from fear to love. You want to know what your purpose is? You want to know how to show up to your family? You want to know how to finally allow in a safe partner? You want to learn how to create the business of your dreams and not have it crumble? It is about learning to move from fear to love. But let me back up a little bit. And I want to break down the walls of separation here for you, because what happens is when you are denied your true self, which happens in a lot of different ways that I'm going to get into so that you have understanding here, you learn to live in a way that, in order to be accepted, in order to feel good, in order to feel like you belong, you deny yourself love and you live separated, or as if you're separated from the very thing that you need in order to live this life fully, in order to live this life with unconditional love, and in order to serve the world. A lot of you want to serve others. A lot of you have these passions and want to give to others, and that's great. We need to. That brings us so much purpose. And if it's coming from that place of you only feel accepted and loved if you give, if you fix, if you save others, you are literally going to kill yourself from the inside out. And I don't mean to be morbid, but I do mean to be blunt for the ones who are ready to hear the things that they're saying inside their head or behind closed doors that they don't know how to ask for help with. I see you. That's why I'm here. I want this place to be a safety place, a safe place where you feel valued, you feel appreciated, you feel loved and accepted for who you are. Because 10 years ago when I started this journey, I thought I was going crazy. I did not know how to ask for help. I thought my body was attacking me with gut issues and anxiety, and instead, my body was trying to tell me, pay attention. Where are you denying love? Where are you scared to trust yourself? Let's talk about this. If you have constant chaos, or if you feel like you're fine and then you enter that roller coaster or spiraling, haunting feeling, and if you are terrified to be in your own presence and terrified to be alone, this is for you. This is for you. So, let's break down some walls of separation. Let's break down some walls of separation. First of all, this is not your fault. It's not your fault that you feel disconnected from your emotions. It's not your fault that you live a lot of your life in doubt and scarcity. It's not your fault that you struggle with trusting yourself. Almost every single person I talk to when they come into the Soul Talk method with me, they don't know how to trust themselves. It is something that starts to happen at a young age when we feel disconnected in some way from ourselves. What we feel instead is shame and fear. So let me give you some tangible examples. Let's have some fun with this. Let's break down some walls. Let's say some things that can make some people uncomfortable, but I know that for the people who are here to live a soul-led legacy, you want to hear this from the aspect or the perspective of wanting to live your life from your soul, wanting to rebuild love and worthiness because that is your natural state of being. Someone took it away from you or did something to you to hurt you, and that's valid and that needs safe space, but you have your permission now. You have permission now to rebuild it inside of you, and that's what I'm here for. So, a lot of us, we live from a viewpoint of manipulation and how that gets birthed. Let's talk about that. How does manipulative love get birthed? Well, a really, really good example is if you go to Sunday school and you are taught at a young age that you are a sinner and that you have something wrong with you, something deceitful, something that needs to be fixed in order to be accepted by God. It can have good intentions, but I'm going to tell you that that is manipulation. It's manipulating you into thinking you have to change. You are not enough as you are, but there's a God that loves you, but you have to change in order to receive love from him. That's a manipulation. I mean, if you want to go in even more depth than that, if women who grew up in the church, they're told that their bodies are sinful and if they show too much, they're responsible for men's pleasure. That's a really messed up point of view, and it can come from a good place. It can come from a good place of you want to serve others. It can come from that good place of, okay, you don't want your 15-year-old, walking around with showing off her body. You want her to be safe. But you have to remember that as children, you internalize things differently. And whenever a child is taught that they are wrong, that their heart is not acceptable, that them just being themselves is not valued, right then and there they experience trauma. They feel what it's like to be disconnected from themselves, but because a God loves them, they will see that in order to receive love from someone, in order to not have bad things happen to them, they have to be separated from themselves. And they don't even know it's happening. And that's why people grow up and they have chronic anxiety, chronic illness, gut issues, because they were denied themselves. And they will live a life where worthiness is validated by giving themselves away. So we have an epidemic happening because while there's good intentions that you want your daughter to cover up, you don't want her, being taken advantage of. That comes from a pure place. But what's happening with this teaching is the exact opposite. She will be taken advantage of because you taught her not to trust her body. You taught her that she has to cover up in order to be accepted. And so we need to look at this, and I want people to understand this for themselves. Because do you know what the number one thing is when people fall for narcissistic abuse or abuse in every kind? It's someone who learned that they are only valuable by giving their needs away. So, the heart of my work is guiding you to live connected to your body again. So many people have stagnant energy, stagnant emotions. They feel very stuck because you've learned that avoiding yourself is the only way that you'll be accepted. So you accept breadcrumbs. You accept this conditional love. You will be more than happy to give yourself away because it validates the emotion you had in childhood where you were what you thought was true acceptance. It's not selfish to put yourself first. It's not selfish to prioritize yourself. You have so much wisdom. You have the ability to connect with God. But when you're taught that judgment and unworthiness is the only way to God, you're taught to fight to be able to go to heaven and be good. But you're actually living in separation now. But I want you to know, you've never been disconnected. You're living as if you're disconnected. And the teachings and the inside the Soul Talk method, you're taught to come home to yourself. You're taught to be one with your body. You're taught to regulate your emotions instead of avoid yourself. You're taught that it's safe to see and accept yourself, and that God is actually one of unconditional love. If you were taught God from that point of view, you were taught a sin program and a fear-based theology. And it is possible to have a relationship with God without the fear and conditions. That was taught by people. That's a whole other conversation. But I think it's so beautiful because I have clients who are Christians. I have clients who don't believe in anything. I have clients who are spiritual. And when they start to do this work, they start to realize, I felt this when I was a kid. I had glimmers of this, but yeah, church, school, society taught me to distrust this. I was told I was bad. I was told I was silly. I was told I was stupid. You're taught to stay in a program that teaches you that you're only safe if your identity is rooted in shame and unworthiness. But when you start to learn to trust yourself, you will walk away from anything that teaches you or tries to teach you to distrust yourself again. And that's who I'm here for. I'm here for the ones who are ready to be the disruptors, the rebellious ones who have always felt like they're ready for something more, they're made for something more, but they were told they were stupid. You are one of the wisest people alive. But you weren't supposed to fit into structures. You weren't supposed to fit into molds. You were here to break them. You were here to trust your unique soul and live from that place. We're moving from fear into love. This is your greatest purpose. I don't want you to hold yourself in separation. I want you to learn that it's safe to be in your own skin. It is safe to co-create with God and bring forth and birth something that's never been done because you trust yourself. I want you to learn that you can live your life with your heart open wide and that it's safe to live with your heart open wide. Jesus was one of the best teachers alive. He really was. And if you were to study the teachings of Jesus without the entanglement of the sin program, you would see that Jesus lives a life of this internal wisdom through himself with God, and that's available for all of us. Stop waiting for someone to come back. It's possible right here, right now, to live a life where you're safe and you can feel the connection with God now. Now. This is soul-led living. I want you to see yourself through the eyes of your soul. It's so contradicting when you're taught to ask Jesus into your heart, but your heart's deceitful. What's the truth? You grow up with these contradictions of yourself. You grew up with confusion. I have so many of my clients say, it is so confusing. Yeah, because the sin program is full of contradictions that repeats the narcissistic abuse, that repeats the codependency, that repeats you hating yourself and distrusting yourself, but you go to church and you're good. But we have a lot of people traumatized, but they don't even know it because they go to church and they think it's good. We have a lot of pastors who are teaching from the platform, but they're not trauma informed. It's not okay. It's not okay. I was in school to become a pastor, and this is when I was actually studying a spiritual discipline course through the same school that taught me to be a pastor, where I realized that, wow, this part of connecting to my intuition is how I see God. It's how I can serve more. But I was being taught in this school the complete opposite. And I remember, sitting in class, and there was a gentleman who was not very much older than me, and he was very mad, and he made a huge explosion. He stood up, he was exploding at the teacher. And there's something very backwards to that because he's now leading a church, and I'm not trying to judge, okay? I'm just trying to show how the manipulation works. He was given a church to lead when really what he needed was emotional regulation, because someone like that is someone who's out of control of his emotions. But no one said anything, right? I don't know what would have happened behind closed doors. Maybe someone addressed it to him in private. But I remember that was back at the beginning of my journey, like 10 years ago, where I just shut down. I went numb. It was insane. But there were other men and women who were leaders, and it wasn't, I look back on that and go, wow, like, we're giving these people leaders of running a church when they haven't even learned to regulate their own emotions. And that's why being trauma informed needs to be way more important than listing off an indoctrination that someone must follow in order to be good enough. And so you want to be able to look at your wholeness. God is not going to punish you for allowing yourself to move beyond the suffering. And so I have a special invitation today that I want to give you. I am hosting a surrender masterclass, Surrender into Trust. And it is to teach you how surrender and trusting yourself is a state of being. It is a lifestyle. It is a way of living. And if you are waking up with dread, if you're waking up with anxiety, if you're waking up with doom and gloom, if you've got an emotional chaos, but you know that you're made for more, maybe you are starting to live already from surrender, but you just want support in it. Maybe you have a really amazing business idea, but you wake up with doubt and you feel this separation. I want to guide you back into connection to yourself. It is going to be an amazing 2-hour class, and it's only $22. It's beautiful, it's potent, and it's really about learning to live a life from trust, moving from fear into love. And I want to invite you inside this amazing space, hold you in safety, because a world where we live from love over fear, trust over doubt, it's amazing. And, I remember I only knew a life of stress. I only knew a life of unworthiness. And now how I live my life is I ask my body every day, what does it need? And some days I bake something nutritious for myself with ease, with this flow, with this surrender movement with my body that I thought would be impossible. I did not know I'd make it this far. And trusting yourself is the hidden key. I'm someone who's invested 50 grand into coaching. And you know what it all comes down to? Trusting myself. And so anyone who's wanting to learn more about even being seen and accepted for who they are. You don't have to be selling something. You don't have to be a coach. Surrender is a lifestyle. Surrender is a state of being that will impact your kids, your spouse, what you do in the world, how you wake up fulfilled. Whether you wake up fulfilled or not, you want to live a life where you feel safe in your own skin, where you can surrender into the day and not achieve and self-sacrifice and give up your needs in order to be accepted. Acceptance starts now, and I want to teach you how inside. So if that resonates with you, I'd be honored to hold you in that safe space. You can check it out. You can check out the details and the link to register in the comments below. And just know that it is safe. It is safe to trust yourself. You deserve good things to happen to you. You deserve more than the bare minimum, and you deserve a life where you know you are worthy, and it won't be taken away from you whether you do something or change or not. Worthiness is your inherent birthright. And we're coming back into this connection so you can deepen your relationship with God instead of denying yourself part of who you are in order to be accepted. You are safe to be accepted and valued now. You don't have to find significance through these programs that teach you to distrust yourself. All right, I hope to see you inside Surrender into Trust Masterclass. Go sign up below. I'm Sarah Evangeline, and I'm sending you so much love.